In this video, I'll be showing you how to solder the wires together. You can use butt connectors, but that's not a really good option because it doesn't last very long. So I'm going to use solder and heat shrink tubing. So what you'll need is, of course, the kit, and then some heat shrink tubing. I got 12 to 20 gauge. I have a soldering iron, some solder. This is just the sample that came with the soldering iron. What you want to get is rosin core solder, and of course electrical. And then you need a heat gun for the heat shrink. So that's everything that you need. You can clean the wires before you solder them together. It's a good idea. Other than that, that's all you need, and I'll go ahead and get started soldering the wires together. So these wires come pre-stripped, but I'm going to strip off a little bit more because it's just not quite enough. Because you want to be able to bend them around each other, and that's just not enough to do that. So what I'll do is I'll take all the rest of these wires and strip off some extra, and then we'll start twisting them together. Alright, so before you twist all your wires together, you want to get your heat shrink tubing and just slide it on there, because once you twist the wires together, you won't be able to slide it on anymore. So just make sure to do that. I forgot to do that earlier, and so you just have to untwist all your wires and do it over, but make sure you put the heat shrink tubing on there and then twist your wires. Alright, so now we have all the wires connected. You don't need the reverse gear input wire connected unless you're going to put in a reverse camera, so you can just leave that. I'll probably just put some tape or something over the end. So you have the red wire twisted, the red wires twisted together. You have the yellow wires twisted together. You have the orange wires twisted together. And then you have the 3 black grounds. So the 3 black grounds, one from the Metra harness, one from the aftermarket radio harness, and one from the Microbypass. Then you have the 2 greens, 1 green from the Microbypass, 1 green from the aftermarket radio harness. Then you have the blues, blue and white from the aftermarket radio harness, and the blue from the Microbypass. And let's see what loose wires I have. Power antenna, which I don't need. The mute, which I also don't need. And I already showed you that one. That should be all the loose wires. Alright, so it took me a little longer because I have never really soldered much before, but they're not the prettiest soldering joints, but they look alright, and they're solid, which is all that really matters. Alright, so this first one turned out okay. There's a little bit of a gap there, but not too big of a gap, and it really cinched onto that joint there, so I'll just do that for the rest of them and move on from there.